Hello everybody, welcome back. So let's have a little look at XRP and a quick sort of overview of Bitcoin as well. I will be making a video simply on Bitcoin anyway, but so XRP basically he's had some decent runs, and to be honest with you, the alts have been doing some little pumps against Bitcoin. Not that it really shows a great deal on this chart, nor does it show a great deal on the Bitcoin dominance, which is still pretty bullish in all fairness. I've not got my exponentials on, but on the daily it's by far extremely bullish. 4 hourly actually had some signs of weakness, and we'll see how that plays out over time. But this one it definitely looks like it wants to come back down to this lower support level, which is going to be around here. So it's still got quite a way to fall. And when we're talking about which coins will fall with it, one of the main ones that we're all looking at is XRP, because whether you love it or you hate it, it's got an enormous market cap, and so whatever it decides to do, it actually starts to dictate the rest of the market for the altcoins, because it carries so much weight on it. So let's have a closer look and see what it is that we're expecting. So on the daily chart, you don't need me to tell you, it's very bearish, but we had a huge sell-off here, massive sell-off. I was lucky enough to short some of that. But we've had big bounces. This was a bounce all the way down from 21. That's unbelievable. I mean, you think about how far that was that it fell from top to bottom in just a few days. We're talking 34% in just a few days. That was a tragic fall. So all indicators now look like it wants to carry on with its downward movement. However, to be honest with you, so long as we're beneath this 10 simple here, which is around 25.5 cents, I would call it bearish. We're looking at it here basically with the tether pairing, but if we're beneath 25 cents, I'm going to call it continuation of bearish. And you can see how that level here generally waved around from that 25 cent to the 24 to 25 cent area for a while before we pumped and then dumped massively. So you can see that it was very susceptible to Bitcoin's moves in the long term, but recently, I mean, look at these candles. I mean, look at them. I mean, that is a huge support, but that is also a rejection. It's so indecisive; it could go either way. And the fact that we're beneath here does suggest that there's probably more movement to the down. Will we be seeing 21 cents again? I would probably be saying yes, we will actually. But does that mean that 21 cents will stay there for very long? Again, we'll have to wait and see. A lot of this revolves around the Bitcoin dominance chart. When Bitcoin falls, and Bitcoin is certainly going to fall, and I'll show you why. Obviously, this is a perfect spread here. Well, not perfect. We've still got the 200s underneath these, but it's pretty obvious which way it wants to be going, and I do expect continuation. And I know that we've fallen a lot already, but there's plenty of room to go. And look, we look at it on the 12-hour chart. We've had death cross here on the 12-hour chart. That's a terrible sign. We had a death cross back here on the 12-hour chart on these simples, but the exponentials are the ones that we care about. And the exponentials had a death cross just a couple of days ago. So I've not been able to make a video for a few days. Been really busy. But yeah, death cross on the 4-hourly, or on the 12-hourly, and indication would suggest that perhaps we might be picking up a little bit from here, but we're essentially going to be testing this blue box territory here, which is it's between 8,000 and the 7,650, which is basically our last support area before we find ourselves going down by another $1,000, which is what it would be if this area breaks, bringing us basically to where we see ourselves on the weekly. And that weekly, currently you can see that we're testing and breaking this area, which is also supposed to be supported by this guy here. But this is our last stand here, which is around 6,500. Also, if I put this chart on here, this is where the cloud will cover us. The cloud will hopefully offer some kind of support for us. It usually does. So yeah, 6,570 it says here. So thereabouts it'll be our last stand, and hopefully we'll find a bounce and a reversal at that point. That might be a good area to try and pick up some Bitcoin. Even though I'm not a financial advisor, it's not financial advice. That might be there's a very good chance that would be the bottom before we start to reverse. However, it might not be, and it could completely break down after that. It could go all the way through the cloud, and if we don't find the bounce at the bottom of the cloud, which is 4,596, then actually we're going into free fall, and we could find ourselves lower than it was at the beginning of the year. Find that quite hard to imagine, but at this stage, when it's this bearish and we've got all these indicators suggesting it's bearish, you can't rule these things out. So with that in mind, and with the Bitcoin dominance being quite high, then you have to expect that Ripple could perhaps be in for some more trouble, and that trouble could be meaning new lows. At least revisiting our previous lows, but could also be new lows. So we'll just have to wait and see. But again, with Ripple, there's big moves up, big moves down. It's all around Bitcoin. So I would be hovering my mouse cursor over the short button rather than the long button if I had to hover over a button at all. But realistically, I think it's time to leave crypto for a little while, sit and observe and wait for perhaps maybe a bottom to be in, then to try and catch moves that could go either way. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day and take it easy.